something we can share. Hello, everyone. Let me share my screen real quick. All right. So, welcome, Miss Sherry Goldman, President, Goldman Communications Group. She's an award-winning public relations agency, and she performs these roles: strategic counsel and planning, media relations, community relations, corporate communications, reputation management, crisis and issue communication, events, and writing services. She was awarded twice the Silver Anvil Award for the Public Relations Society of America, and she hosts a radio show called Let's Talk PR and more. So welcome, Miss Sherry Goldman. I'll stop sharing and you can take it away.
Great. It's so nice to be here. Thank you for having me. And I will try to start my screen share. Let's see if this works.
Hello.
Can you all see that?
Yes.
Okay, great. So I'm going to talk a little bit about public relations and marketing today, and hopefully give you some tips and best practices. Jesse, I do have a slide on press releases. We'll talk. Certainly, if you have questions, feel free to jump in or save them to the end. Whichever works better for you is fine for me. I want to make sure that I address what you need. So thanks for the introduction, Tiffany. You told all about me, so I don't need to do that. So I'm just going to jump right into, you've probably heard the marketing mix. And in a perfect world, every organization and every company should do all aspects of the marketing mix: marketing, advertising, and public relations. And marketing, which probably you all do but haven't really thought about it, is the action of promoting or selling your product. So marketing is your packaging, your pricing, your promotion, your distribution. You're getting people to want your product, your service, and then they're going to buy it, right? So you're selling shampoo. You want to have good hair, so you need shampoo. You're selling insurance. You want your family to be safe or your home to be safe, and your product that solves that is insurance. So you're creating that demand for it and then selling it, and how you're doing that. You're mostly using your owned media. And when I say owned media, it's things that you create yourself. So it's probably your website. It could be point of sales materials. It could be e-blasts. And it's all focused on transactions. Advertising, you all know what that is. That's paid communications. And it's paid so you control it. You control the timing. You control the message. You control where it is. It's one way, because what you push out there, you just push out there, and hopefully people receive it, okay? And your ability to advertise is going to be 1,000% determined on your budget. How much money you have will determine how many ads you can run and where you can place those ads. So your budget determines everything. I'm a public relations snob, so to speak. I love public relations. Public relations to me is the best, because it's what you do to manage your reputation, to position your company or your service as a problem solver, to develop those relationships and get those endorsements for your company, to tell your story. If you want to tell your story, you're telling it through public relations. Certainly we use owned media, the things you create, but we use a lot of earned media, that pitched media, that media where you're getting written about in newspapers and magazines and online media. You're in broadcast, on television, on the radio. And it's really that two-way conversation. You're building those relationships, whether it's out in the community, whether it's with your customers. So it really is the hub of what you should do. So public relations supports marketing and things like that, because it creates awareness, right? If you do all that marketing and you start throwing out ads, that's great, but it's based upon your budget. How do you create broader awareness for your industry or your organization or your need or the problem that your product solves? So it creates awareness for you. It educates and informs audiences. If you're an accountant, your marketing is going to be, we're an accounting firm, we could do your taxes. Public relations could talk about 10 tax tips that you should do to save money. Public relations could help you talk about how to hire a lawyer and when you should hire a lawyer. If you're estate planning, public relations can talk about how to invest for the future. So we really can educate and inform people in a way that nobody else can. We certainly can promote trial of your product. And when I say leverage the influence of others and third-party endorsements, if you are written about in the New York Times, there's a credibility that comes with that. Instead of you're just saying something about yourself, that the New York Times said, hey, we vetted them out. We thought this was a good story. We interviewed them. We spoke to them. We spoke to 6 other people about them. Now we're writing about that. There's a credibility that comes with that. There's a credibility that comes with that third-party endorsement that says, that leverage you above everybody else. And certainly we position, again, you as leaders and experts, and we create the environment or can talk about issues where your company might want to fit into, okay? And that's important. So before you get started on anything, and I know this is the not sexy part of the thing, I'm going to say you need to understand your target audiences, because everybody who I've been in this business a long time. I've had my company 28 years. I've been in PR a lot longer. And before that, I was in the media. There's no audience of everybody. Every client tells me, I want everybody to know about me. And of course you do. And of course you should. But if you're targeting everybody as a homogeneous thing, your message is going to fail. It just is going to fail because all segments of that audience are not the same. Okay. Certainly, even all segments of your prospective clients or your referrers or your influencers are not the same. But there are other audiences, again, could be influencers, could be industry trade organizations or business associations, chamber like the Chelsea Chamber, that are going to need a different message about what you or your company does that a prospective customer would need. And don't overlook internal audiences. So, and you have B2B and B2C. So you really have to take a step back and look at your audiences. And again, it's not everybody. And for each audience, you need to say, who are they? What do they want? Because they're all going to want something different. Even if you're selling insurance or financial planning, and everybody needs them, no question about it. But is somebody in their 50s looking for a different kind of financial planning information than somebody in their 20s? When I talk to my students, because I teach about, retirement plans, when we talk about messaging, they're like, I know I should, but I'm not gonna. Too young, doing my money here now. So different audiences, the 20s versus the 50s need something different. So you can't just say everybody needs this. So who are they? What do they want? What do they need to know? And what do you want them to know? Because the most effective message will be one that talks directly to that audience. And this is where public relations, again, could be different than advertising. You should know that when everybody hears a message, everybody hears what's in it for me, why should I care? Okay. Even when you're scrolling through your social media, when you think about how many things you scroll through and how many things you stop on, you have subconsciously decided this matters to me, right? They're all pushing it out there. So if I'm hearing something and I go, it doesn't really relate to me right now, then I'm moving past it. So your best messages are going to be talking directly to that audience. So the finer you can segment it, you can have 30 different target audiences and segments. Prospective customers, they could be in different buckets. Current customers could be in different buckets. Referrers are in different buckets. But if they hear what's in it for me, put yourself in their shoes. Why should I care? Tell them. Okay. So your mission statements or your elevator pitches, well, they're great when we sit around a Zoom like this, are not going to be effective communication messages. They do not work because they say, here's what I want you to know about me. But they don't tell the audience, why is what you are offering important to them? So the most effective messages tell an audience what to do, what to feel, what to think, and include a call to action. Okay, and then we have to choose the right tactics, right? Where are these audiences and the best ways to communicate them? Not all audiences are on the same platforms or in the same places. We need to tell your story where the audiences are, not where you want them to be or what's easiest for you. And again, it's putting different things in different places. If you're targeting, even if we go to social media, and I'll talk about that in a minute, people in their 50s might be on Facebook. You're trying to reach people in their 20s, probably not there in the greatest concentration. They might be on Instagram or TikTok. Instagram and TikTok might be the hottest, but the answer is that's not where people in their 40s or 50s are. That's not where business owners are making their decisions, even if they're scrolling at night a little bit. That's not where they're getting their information. So the more you can understand your audiences, the more you can put information and communicate and reach them in the right place. So listen, I want to talk about websites for a second because websites are not sexy. I know we all take them for granted. And if somebody's Googling, it's because they've heard of you. So remember, if somebody's Googling, they're not Googling your company, they're Googling something, or if they've heard of you, this is the first place they're going to find you if they do. So you have to make sure it's current. If the most recent thing is 2 years old, people are going to assume you're not current or not in operation. If you've got a blog on it and the last blog post was 2 years old, delete the blog. Okay, because the first thing people are going to do is click and go, old. Old websites never die. They live there forever. So nobody can determine what's old and what's new. Okay. If you've got newspaper articles on it and the last one's from 2019, get rid of it. Get rid of that section then. I just had a client do that. I said, the last thing you have here is from 2019. Either put new content up there, we'll create it, or get rid of that section. But otherwise it looks old. Make sure you have links to all your social media. Update your homepage content as much as possible. You've got a lot of pages, but if you update your homepage or make sure something has a date, is recent, it's okay. One of the things that people make huge mistakes about for their website is to talk in their industry jargon. And computer tech companies are the worst. They talk about, we do SaaS, we do cloud computing, we do this, we do that. And for them, it makes so much sense, right? They understand it. Even if they're in a networking Zoom, enough people understand it. But your prospective customers are not going to understand what that means. And if they don't understand, they're not Googling to find out. They're going to delete, hit next. Okay, so if you're not talking in a language that your prospective customer or client or current prospective understands, then your website is going to fail in doing what you want it to do, which is to generate business. Okay, and the other thing I would say about it, every page, look at every page in your website. It needs to have the name of your organization and keywords. Google reads every page individually. And I'll tell you my own website, I wanted to write it self-friendly. So on the contact us page, I wrote, we'd love to hear from you. Fill out this form. And I didn't know why Google didn't find it, because my name of my company was not in the text on that page. They did not read the logo. So I had to rewrite that page and write, Goldman Communications Group wants to hear from you. A little less friendly, but now Google sees that page. So every page you have to look at separately. Make sure your keywords, your name of your organization or your company, your product, whatever your 1 or 2 keywords are, is on every page so that it's found, it's indexed, and everybody doesn't read in order. Okay. If you're doing social media, and this is going to be like, since I only had like 15 minutes, this is going to feel a little bit like, tips on steroids, but choose the platform where the target audiences are and not the hottest trend. Everybody says to me, should we be on TikTok? The answer is, I don't know. Who are you trying to reach? And being on TikTok might be fun, but the answer is, if it's not where your prospective customers or your clients are, you don't need to be there. It just doesn't match the content to the platform. And here's a key. You need to post when the audience is using the platform, which is not your business hours. I have a client that's a credit union, right? Credit unions, banks open 9 to 5, Monday through Friday, maybe Monday through Saturday, 9 to 5. And they have mortgages and home equity loans and car loans and college funds. They'd love to post during the day because that way you can call them, they'd be right there. But when are people looking for a car loan? When are people looking for mortgages? Probably at night, because during the day, most people are at work, right? If you're a travel agent, people are not necessarily planning most of their vacations or scrolling for ideas during the day because they're at work. They come home from work. But 9, 10 o'clock at night when they're doom scrolling, that's when you want your messages and your posts to be there, when they have more of an ability to see it. So again, different audiences, different things. If you're looking to reach seniors, you might need to post late afternoon. If you're looking to reach teenagers, it's going to be at night. Different posts for different audiences. For all of your social media, you need to establish hashtags and use them consistently. They are still how content is searched on social media. So can certainly consider things like GBCCC, Chelsea, Greenwich Village for your industry organization. And then like if you're a restaurant, Chelsea Eats, New York City Lawyer, something like that. So if somebody were on social and looking, it would aggregate all of that content that use that hashtag and they might find your post. Okay. Tag relevant people or organizations that not everybody but relevant people, tag them. And a tag is with the ampersand, not the hashtag. The hashtag is the search engine. The ampersand is tagging people. When you post, encourage your employees, your board members, your group members to share, because again, it's networking, right? If you have it and they share it with their audience, you potentially have reached more people. And then obviously, again, timing, post for the audience, okay? The biggest mistake people make is they post when they want to post and when they're doing it. I mean, I hate to say it, I see lots of people post on LinkedIn on Sunday business things, and most of us are not working on Sunday. So we're not seeing your post. And if we're coming in on Monday and Tuesday, we're not scrolling 4 days worth of content back. And certainly it's easy to scroll 4 days worth of content back on LinkedIn than it would be on Twitter X, or you could never do it on TikTok and you couldn't do it on Instagram. So you really need to do it when the audience is there. Okay. And then I think earned media relations is the best thing. Let's let the media tell your story, because what media relations and earned media does is let other people say how fabulous you are instead of you saying you're fabulous. When you take out an ad, you say, I'm great, my product is great. If you're getting written about in editorial coverage, if you're getting spoken about in conversations, if you're doing speaking engagements, it's other people saying how fabulous you are. And that's so much better. There's so much more credibility. There's so much more reputation building. It's so much better for business if somebody else says it besides you. So what public relations does is put you in the context of news, problem solving, industry trends, and we could talk about it. So, but you have to craft a good story. So what makes a good story? It has to be relevant to the audience's needs and values. Not what you want them to know, but again, what do they care about, right? What do they care about? What do they need to know? And when you're pitching the media, they're going to say, what do my readers and my listeners need to know? So problem solving, this is where you're not saying you're an accounting firm, but you are saying, hey, we can help you save money on your taxes next year. Or if you take these 5 tips, that you can save money for college effortlessly. Or, you may not think you need estate planning now because you're 32 years old, but if you take these steps now, whatever. Or Tiffany can tell you, right? You're starting a business and you think, well, I'll just do it at night. That's great. But if you haven't done your trademark research, you're setting yourself up for failure later on and possibly a lot of costs. So that's where she could educate people about that. So we are educational. We need to be timely and relevant. Okay. And I say that, and I'll get that to the next slide. Relatable, humanizing case studies. People want to see real life things. So tell the story with, you're doing a mortgage. Who's you helped homeowner so and so, bring them into the story, have them talk about their journey, and you solve the problem. Right? Tiffany would do that for, she helped business owner X, Y, and Z look at the trademark and realize it wasn't going to work, and how they tweaked it and made it work so this person can start their business. Humanize it, tell that entire story. If you're pitching the media wants to know how your story affects them, not why their readers or listeners, not why you want to reach them. I have a client that was Green Tech Lab upstate, and they only wanted to be in Crane's New York Business because Crane's New York Business is read by the investment community, and they wanted investor money. And I have a good relationship with one of the editors, and he's like, Sherry, do they have an office in New York City? No. Do they have any clients in New York City? No. Are they employing any New York City people? No, because then it's not a New York City story for us. If they want to reach our audience, take an ad. We are more than happy to sell an ad for anyone. That's for advertising. You want editorial coverage? You want us to write about them? Make sure it's local. And a lot of your members have that because you've got the Villager, you've got the Chelsea News. Those are local. Right? So those papers, you have that local news hook already. If you were pitching the Upper West Side Rag, well, you'd have to find someone local for them because they're not going to cover the Chelsea community down here. But there might be a hook up there. Maybe the owner lives up there. Maybe you also have a satellite office up there. So find the local news hooks or local spokespersons that will enable you to tell that local story. Timeliness is key as versus being evergreen. Evergreen is a story that the media can do today, 3 weeks from today, 3 months from today, 3 years from today. Why should they do it today? So the more you can tie yourself into something that's going on, or there's something called the National Events Calendar, because we PR people have created a day for everything, okay? So that we can get news hooks and say it's timely. Today's actual, I am reading this, today's actual National Thermal Engineer Day, National Cousins Day, National Drive-Through Day, and National Tequila Day. Perfect. Tomorrow is National Hire a Veterans Day. So if you were an organization that was doing recruitment, training, financing, anything, and you could talk about how you're helping veterans put themselves back in the workforce, pitching a story that ties into National Hire Veterans Day is a time hook. It's National Interns Day tomorrow. Maybe you've got an intern and you want to do that. It's also my favorite holiday, National Hot Fudge Sundae Day. So, but the more that you could tie into that and look ahead, you've got a time hook that might work. And certainly seasonal sections. When are they doing back to school? When are they doing holiday gift guides? When are they doing designated months? April is in Earth Month, and November is prostate cancer month. So understanding that. Remember, media works on lead times, except for breaking news, reporters work in advance. So you think Christmas and you think newspapers, they're working on that Christmas gift guide in September. So if you're pitching earned media, you've got to work very far in advance. Monthly magazines are 6 months in advance, but print and broadcast for holiday sections, for things they know coming up, back to school, holiday buying, summer camp season, to work 2 to 3 months in advance. So you've got to pitch those stories in advance to get them to do it. Because once you see it, it's too late. Okay. And they're not doing it more than once. So I think, Jesse, some of this will answer your questions. How do you get them to do your story? Okay. Sometimes you might write a press release or a pitch note, a short email. You have to find the reporter to send it to. You can find it by knowing what media you want to target. If you scroll down on their website, sometimes it'll say newsroom or contact us. And you might get a list of editors and find out which beat you want to target the reporter or the producer whose beat it is to cover it. And then you're going to send them that press release and that pitch note. Okay. You also need to post that press release on your website. You need to share it on your social media. But a press release is not good. It's not going to do you any good unless you're getting it into the hands of reporters. Okay, so there are a bunch of services that say, I'm going to write you a press release. I had somebody reach out to me last week, says, somebody said they write me a press release for $1,300. Is that a good deal? I said, what are they doing with it? She said, I don't know. I said, then no. Okay, so a press release is a document. If it sits on your desk, it serves no purpose. If you write it on, you put it on your website, that's fine, but it's on your website. So if nobody's heard of you, they're not going to your website. And reporters are not crawling websites looking for you or me or anybody. So there are low-end services and higher-end services. There are services like PR web and online posting boards, which say, you write the press release, so we'll write it for you, and we post it on PR web or online posting board. That means your web's press release will now be on their site. What that means is if somebody's Googling you, it's another thing they can find. So it creates a link for an SEO. Okay, but that's all it does. It's not getting you news coverage. EIN newswires, e-releases are a little bit of a step up. They take that press release and they send it to media circuits, but not to reporters. So what that means is that's where you see something shows up on yahoo.com on a website, or for some reason your press release is a link on a Las Vegas TV station because they have some scroll. Again, it's creating some links online. It's going to help with your Google search. It's not getting reporters to write about you. The only way to get your press release to get media coverage is to get your hands directly into the hands of reporters. Business Wire is a very high-end distribution service that pays, it costs a lot more, but they send it directly into newsrooms, not news circuits, but into newsrooms, and sometimes to reporters, but you can't follow up on it. Or you could hire a PR person or do it yourself, where we send it directly to reporters and follow up. So when I send out a press release, I send it to a specific reporter, and then I start harassing with phone calls if possible. Okay, so a press release is a tool. It's information. If you wanted to generate media coverage, you've got to say and ask, how are you sending this to the media? Because otherwise, it's just another page, in essence, on your website. It serves a different purpose. But I think the goal of pitching your story is you want them to write about it. Okay? And reporters, broadcast, even print reporters are not scrolling yours. There's a reporter signed to Apple. They're probably scrolling for Apple every day, but chances are they're not scrolling for all of our companies to find out. So we've got to get our news directly to them. Other things you can do in public relations is speaking engagements, demonstrate your expertise. Create community events. Tiffany, I think you and Jesse talked about that when we got on the Zoom earlier, what you're doing with your awards luncheon. So create a community event that involves those audiences that you want to engage, demonstrate that, right? And get them engaged. But make sure that everything you do is cross-promoted. Just don't do that. Put it on your website, put it in your social media, put it in your e-blast. Tell the story to media. Okay, because you need to cross-promote it. And that's my kind of PR tips on steroids.
Oh
So
my goodness.
I thank you. Hopefully that was somewhat helpful. It's a lot to cover in 15 minutes, but certainly if
All
anybody has
right.
any
Well, that was
questions, I'm
amazing.